Yeah, so I was actually in the middle of applying with another bank, which I can name or not, up to you. Um, and I wasn't loving how the process was going. I felt like I didn't know where my application was in the whole scheme of things. They weren't communicating with us at all. Josh has done a really good job of communicating with everyone on the PPP email list. And like that just wasn't happening. And I was having a day where I felt like the smallest businesses, like mine is a micro business. We don't even qualify as a small business. We're not big enough. And I was feeling like just based on the numbers that the SBA had been posting for the first like 3 or 4 days of the program, the amounts, the average dollar amounts that I was seeing on that had me feeling like us really small businesses were going to get left out. It just was starting to feel like, we wouldn't be appealing enough for a bank to want to, as much as they were saying first come, first serve, it definitely felt like maybe we weren't getting in quite in that order. So I was sort of expressing some of that concern on Twitter the Monday following when it opened. And I had talked to Jill about moving our accounts over to Citizens anyway, so that was going to happen. But she said, you know what, just go ahead, get in, apply, mark that you're one of our customers, and let's get the process started, and I'll keep an eye on it. So I got my information turned in that day. That was April 6th. And in the process of doing that, you guys did a really good job of saying, these are the documents that we need. This is the documentation that we need you to upload so that we can substantiate your loan request. My other bank didn't do that at all. They had, the very short, name of your business, like the 10 very easy things to fill in. And then there was a screen where you could upload documents, but they didn't tell you any of what they wanted. So I just put in, having done that before I did the Citizens application, I just put in like my 941s and I think a payroll report from my payroll company. And that was all I put in there because I figured they'd ask me for more at some point in the process. The next time I heard from them was for them to say, well, based on your documentation, we can only approve you for like half of what you're asking for. And didn't really give me any kind of roadmap for what they needed to see how I got that amount. So by that point, I was already well into the process with Citizens, and just sort of let it go from that bank at that point. So after that, everything went really, really smoothly because you guys had everything. And I'm trying to think, so that was on the 6th. By the end of that week, Josh had emailed everybody and said, talked about where you guys were in the process, how you were improving your systems, and the fact that they were now touching files from applications on April 3rd. And I thought that was really cool. That was very helpful for my anxious nature to know where you were compared to where I applied. And so I knew at that point, I think that was on like a Thursday. And I was like, okay, so if they're moving quicker, I should know by like the end of the weekend where I stand. I checked in with Josh on Monday just because I hadn't heard and I just wanted to see, I wasn't feeling like I was missed or anything. I just wanted to see where we were in the line. And that's when he let me know that I had been SBA approved. I was just in the queue for documents. So, which was great news. And I shared that with Skye right away. And she said, how do you feel? And I said, I'll feel better when I see money in the account. Because it was still feeling, I was like, I'm not relieved yet. But yeah, so once I got access to my business account yesterday, I saw that that was in there and now I get to move forward. Yeah, we got to, I told Skye I can finally breathe.
Yeah.
And let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, now I just need to get my payroll connected to the new bank account and all that stuff. But Ashley was really great. She helped me finished getting that set up, and she's setting up our personal account too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting to have a conversation with somebody at the bank, and it just sounds like a conversation that you would have on any other normal day, like in 2019. But, everybody just sounds very calm and like this is just another day. There's nothing crazy going on in the world. We're still here operating as normal. So that's really nice from a customer perspective.
Oh, I'm glad that that's the experience that you've had so far. Can you talk more about what your business is and like what you guys do?
Yeah, so Folded Out is a business support services company, which means we provide services to other business owners. Typically that is bookkeeping or social media, but there are other things that we do too, as far as helping them get their websites done if they need design. Pretty much anything that if you were a business owner and you had an admin person, anything that you would look at them and say, hey, can you take care of this, is what people come to us for.
Awesome. So how has the pandemic affected your guys' business?
Well, we definitely did lose one client, and we have some who are having trouble paying because they're in the same boat that we are. We have clients that are dependent on tourism money, and that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
So we're doing our best to work with them because we understand the position that they're in. We know exactly what it feels like. So we don't want them to feel pressured about making sure that we get paid, even though we know that they want to. So, sort of having to find that balance between we still need to make money, but we want to provide the highest level of service that we can for our clients right now. And it looks different for everybody. It definitely also hindered our networking efforts, especially for Skye, and she could probably talk more about that. But, she's used to being out there at meetings. She's used to being at creative mornings. And, that's where, going to Bricktown Association meetings, she has made some great contacts through those types of events. And so it's kind of hard. And, there for the first, I don't know, I feel like people are kind of getting over it now, but definitely for the second half of March and into the first half of April, probably a solid month there, nobody was hiring for anything. We kept hearing, we want to work with you, we just don't know when. Mm-hmm. And we understood that too, because who knows what, it was very unknown at that point in time what any of this was going to look like. And it still kind of is, but I think people have adjusted to the way that our current normal works. And so they've, some of that has eased up a little bit.
So what does your new normal look like for you guys?
It's a little bit different for both of us.
I'm sure.
So we both have kids. Skye's is little. He's a 1-year-old. Well, he's not little. He's a big man. So, caring for him is different than for me caring for my first grader. But that also means that I'm helping homeschool her right now. So the dining room has become my office, and I have my little station and she has hers, and I sit here and work while I also sort of audibly audit her class so that I know what she's supposed to be doing, because her school is still doing curriculum and they're turning things in and getting graded and all of that. So it's been really, really interesting to try and find a new balance with the work time and the family time and the schooling time. I've been fortunate that my husband is also home, so he's not, he got laid off right at the beginning of all of this because he worked at Frida and they closed pretty early on. So, it's been nice having him here, but at the same time, that's another level of stress of, okay, well, you're not making money. So he has a new job now. It's taking a little while to get going, but it'll get there. So, for me, and I'll let Skye give her version of what normal looks like for her, but, I am not someone who was having trouble with any of the, cabin fever. I'm such an introvert that I'm perfectly happy that we don't ever have to go anywhere. I miss going to Target a little bit. But I'm not sad that we're not doing things every weekend. I'm fine from that perspective. I think Skye's experience is a lot different with that. Yeah. But as far as our customer service for clients and our ability to do our work, it hasn't changed at all, because we've always been a remote company in terms of how we serve our clients. Like, we're not going into their office to do work. We're doing it from our own office. So in that regard, it hasn't really changed at all.
So how has the work that you've been doing for these other companies kind of changed too? Like, have you guys been adjusting your work based on the pandemic?
I haven't, other than the fact that I was sort of, triaging clients based on if they were going to be applying for funding or not. Skye definitely has, though.
Yes. Yeah. Once everything happened and, the mayor and the governor kind of shut everything down, it was a complete shift, pausing everything that was scheduled or anything that was planned, and either shifting the focus or trashing it or holding on to it for another time to make sure that, the messaging, that the content was relevant. I mean, as you know, you're a marketing person, making sure that it was relevant or completely pausing any content that is about the business and purely amplifying other organizations that are in the district and that could be supported as well from a client perspective. And then from our perspective, less of a sales pitch and more so of just, how are you coping as an entrepreneur and as a business owner? Like, how's your spirit? How's your world? What things are changing for you? So
That's awesome. So how have you adjusted to the shift from working at home? And I know you have a young one.
Yeah, so I hate it. To be fair, I hated it at first. I'm an extrovert with introvert tendencies. And so I'm recharged and I'm energized and refueled, and my creative juices are going when I get to be around other creatives and when I get to be around other people, or just being, out in Bricktown or out, on site with a client. Like, that is what builds our content that we use. And so without doing that, I'm doing a lot more research. And so I'm making sure that there's a lot more like data that's backing up the content, or just more so mission focused, why focused. My day starts at about 5 a.m. I get in my first like big chunk of the day, like up until about 9 a.m. And then my husband, who is in IT, then he takes the kid, or no, then he has the kid in the morning. And so then I take him. And so then we do breakfast, or we go outside or whatever. So my day is shifted by giving me a lot more time outside, which still fuels me kind of in a different way. So that's a new thing. And then around this time in the evening, he takes him again. We kind of switch off. And he has a lot of like huddles at the end of the day. And so they just are on video calls for the latter part of the afternoon. And so I get some quiet, he gets the chaos, but my day is more so now broken into chunks rather than just a straight shot. It's good and it's not great, but I wouldn't get this time otherwise with the kiddo, and it's allowing Shelley and I to communicate and have some transparent conversations as well, so it brings us together too.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys being so transparent with us too on how things are actually going, the good and the bad. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about like the PPP process with us, or how you guys are dealing?
Well, I think, Jill has done a really good job of being a voice in the community, saying, here's how all of this works. Here's how we're approaching it at our institution. Here's what you should be looking for from yours. The giving away of information is so helpful. And that's something that I've been trying to do as well. And, sort of piggybacking off of Jill when I can. But, I think from my perspective as a business owner, it was important for me to be honest with Skye through this whole process. We knew coming into it that if we didn't get funding, then things would look a lot different. Like, there was the potential for our company to close down. And I didn't want, I don't think that's somebody somebody with 50 employees probably isn't going to do that with the entire workforce. I think on some level they should, at least to an extent, like, hey, this is the reality. Give them the opportunity to bail if they need to feel more secure. But basically, don't let them be surprised in 2 weeks if you all of a sudden don't have money for payroll.
Absolutely.
And that allowed her to be part of the process. It allowed her to be part of my support system. I didn't ever feel, I was always concerned with, trying to get this done and make it work so that we could continue working as a team. But I didn't ever feel pressure from her to make it happen otherwise. It was just, it was a lot of good teamwork. And so I think that helped the process be a little bit easier for me. I still felt the weight of the world on my shoulders, but I knew that there was somebody next to me helping carry that a little bit. So, I didn't feel as lonely as I think a lot of business owners probably do if they're keeping this all to themselves. With a situation like this, it's a little easier, I think, for employees to be able to predict what's going on, maybe. But I think if there's any ability for the business owner to be vulnerable and honest with their staff, then that's something that could be really important for their employees going through this process too, because they're reading the same news we are. They may not know if their boss got funding or not. They may not know how secure their job is. And other than that, just sharing the information as it comes out. They like to change the rules a lot, which has made it really difficult for bankers and for the people applying for it. But again, Jill has done a great job with that. So I prefer communication over not in all cases. And that's been true with this as well. And that was one of the things that had drawn me to Citizens to begin with, was just the way that things get communicated out into the community, whether you're a customer or not. You guys are always there looking to help. You've got the free Wi-Fi downtown. There has been no shortage of things that have been posted from your bank that I'm just like, you're not supposed to be in love with a bank, but I kind of feel myself heading down that path. But I don't know. I think that these times right now are a really big win for community banks if they're working hard like you guys are. And it's a good opportunity to illustrate how much more valuable a customer you can be with a community bank versus a national bank, which completely failed their customers in all of this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. If I could piggyback off of that from an employee standpoint and not the person filling out the paperwork or having the weight of the world on their shoulders during this time, we do business support services, right? And so we want to ease the load on our clients, but our core values are, like people over profit and integrity and things like that. And so it was really good to see that same type of compassionate leadership that we give to our clients, and that, we seek out when we want to work with clients. It was really good to see that coming from a bank with something that was so crucial about, potentially ending someone's dream, their vision. It was really good to see a bank coming through, or a vendor of any kind coming through and supporting a leader and supporting our company, because obviously that isn't always the case. So that was really good to see from an employee perspective too.
Well, I'm so glad to hear, and I'm glad to see and be able to show that, there's small businesses like you guys out there, and that it doesn't really matter how small you guys got to get through. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of the day to meet with me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Let us know too if there's anything else we can do for you guys.
Absolutely. And we will be happy to share and retweet all the things.